Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on the start line by the unapologetic New York Times bestselling author. His latest tough love in your face book is Love Unf. We welcome Gary John Bishop.
Hi, thank you, Sean.
Gary, brother, let's go beyond the mic. You believe in a no-nonsense attitude on improving your life. Why was tackling love the next logical topic?
It's such an intrinsic part of our lives, and it's a big deal. What it actually is to connect with another person, and how do I get enough of my junk out of the way that I can actually authentically do that without screwing it up. Yeah, I'm out to impact people in their lives, and you just can't deny how important love is in that atmosphere.
Now, people have searched for profound, amazing, complete relationships.
Right.
But how is that a bunch of garbage?
Because you haven't dealt with who's doing the searching. You haven't dealt with what you're walking in there with. And I don't just mean like, items, for instance, like trust or, some emotional hang up about this thing or that thing. I'm actually talking about your logic. I'm also including what you've come to believe to be true. I'm also including what you're determining is good or bad or indifferent to the relationship. You don't walk in there with a blank canvas. You walk in there, you're already painted. And if you don't understand how that will play out, then it'll just play out whether you want it to or not.
Instead of a shared effort, you ask for people to not look for, quote, a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness, unquote.
Right.
What should they be looking for?
Yeah. I want to get people back in touch with that they actually have a massive say in how their relationships go. And the kind of steady stream of advice that we hear about might not be serving them as well as they think. And that what I'm out to do in this book is not only untie a few of those knots, but actually get you in touch with what moves you as a human being, what inspires you, what motivates you, what matters to you, and to make that really clear for you. And then when you look back into your relationship, you'll see how much of your relationship is actually about that or not. And that's often a very surprising place for people.
Bad communications is where most relationships fail.
Right.
You said recently on social media, quote, bad communication is usually a result of trying to dance around what is in the unsaid, unquote. Why is what was unsaid so painful for some of us?
Well, because it mostly reveals something about yourself. So we don't look, and this is true across the board. Human beings spend their lives quite literally overcoming themselves, right? So they follow a career that overcomes something about themselves. They get into relationships that overcome something about themselves, and they're not walking around constantly talking to themselves in that way. But there are legitimate reasons why you do what you do. So revealing that to yourself, being honest with yourself about that is the first step to authenticity, the first step to just finally having the freedom to just be you, including all of it, not just the cherry-picked good parts. If you can't be you in a relationship, believe it or not, you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself either A, why you're not being you, or B, why you're tolerating an environment where it's not okay for you to be you, both of which will require introspection.
Quote, life really is too short for resentment. The price is too high, no matter how right or justified you may feel, unquote.
Right.
How do people reinvent themselves when it's been ingrained in them by family and society?
Right. So, we're making our way through this life. We're being influenced, of course. I wouldn't always categorize that as some kind of nefarious thing. Like, there's just some big boogeyman out there that kind of influence you. I think you have to realize you're influenceable, and that's okay. But I think you also have to realize that you have a tremendous ability to influence how life goes. You actually have a voice. You actually have an ability. You have a brain. You have the ability to shift things in your direction. And the more that people start to kind of tune into that, instead of looking outside of themselves for solutions, I actually see people are unbelievably powerful when they get in touch with their ability to express that power. And, that's a lot of what my work is about. It's about empowering people to finally come to terms with themselves and their ability to exert real change.
Author Gary John Bishop joins us beyond the mic. It's time for the Rocking Aid. 8 random questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There is no pressure. If you're having a bad day, what makes it better?
That it's part of being alive. It's a day. It's not a bad day. It's a day.
Subject in school you hated?
Math.
How about your favorite pair of shoes?
My Nike Air Force Ones.
Oh, those are cool. Today, instead of what I usually do, I will
go to my bed at a time that's consistent with my body being tired.
Would you rather be hated or forgotten?
Well, I'd actually take either of those, but hated doesn't offend me.
Would you prefer hot or cold food?
Hot food.
Does death scare you?
Yes, at some level, but I'm at the point in my life where that's something. I actually find myself working my way through it, and I'm enjoying the journey.
What's the biggest compromise you've ever made in your life?
When I put my mortgage payment ahead of my potential.
If you're enjoying these conversations, please check out another Beyond the Mic episode to find more actors, artists, and people you need to know. We'd also appreciate a like and subscribe on the Good Pods app. It's time for One Big Question with Gary John Bishop, Beyond the Mic. How have you changed your life since the pandemic hit, and how has your life been changed?
So, there's the typical stuff that you see around, so there's like the constraint of whatever that is. But I really feel as if in the day-to-day living of my life, I've become much more appreciative of my wife and my 3 sons and my friends. And, I really, I'm moved by the opportunity to share my life with them. So it's really allowed me to focus and broader focus, maybe not a focus that I wanted, but it's kind of forced me to focus on what's important to me and what matters to me. And it's been quite revealing to see how much of the rest is just noise.
Where can people find you online?
At GaryJohnBishop.com. You can find me on Instagram at GaryJohnBishop, Twitter, Gary John Bishop, on Facebook. I have hundreds of thousands of followers. You can jump in there and there's tons of free insights and little tidbits for you to think about and make the changes in your life that you want to make.
What's the number one change people need to still make?
So you got to stop. You got to really give up the idea that you were done unto and start to focus on what you're now going to do.
He isn't scared of death, loves his Nike Air Force Ones, and is trying to go to bed at a decent time. Author of Love Unf, Gary John Bishop. Always great to have you joining us, brother.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
And that, my friends, is a Beyond the Mic shortcut.